Hi, Hiram here. I'm going to do a video today that I've been waiting to make for like 2 years, 2 months. Back in January of 2010, I got a message from DrunknShooter where he said, "Hey Hiram, have you ever tried Weber lighter cubes that are made by the Weber Grill Company? I saw some people saying that they're the same stuff as Wetfire, but much less money." He couldn't find any in his area, so he asked me to check into it. Ever since then, it's been an ongoing thing. But what it was DrunknShooter was saying that this Wetfire Tinder could very well be the same stuff as these Weber lighter cubes, which I called Weber fire starters in the beginning, but they're Weber lighter cubes. You can find these at any of the big hardware stores and stuff in their grill department. It's used for starting charcoal fires, and through some of the videos that I've made, it does look like it's the same stuff as Wetfire Tinder, but where Wetfire Tinder is individually wrapped and, but very, very expensive, this stuff comes out in a tray of pieces like so. And unfortunately, they're not individually wrapped. But through some of the tests and things that I've done, I didn't do a chemical analysis or anything like that, but just looking at the stuff, it sure looks like it's the exact same thing, except these aren't individually wrapped. So since then, I did a couple of different videos on it. And on February 25 of 2011, I showed how I carry the Weber lighter cubes. You can't just take them out of the package, and some people would stuff them like in the bottoms of their fire starters and stuff. They're not the blast match, but some of the other ones had a little compartment underneath, and they would stick the Wetfire Tinder in there without the package, and you just can't do that. The stuff dries out and becomes like a little piece of styrofoam. So on February 25 of 2011, I did a video where I showed how I encase them in red wax. Now I used red because it would show up against the white of the Weber cubes, so I could see if they were totally covered. So this stuff has been setting in a bag, a paper bag, and there's the date, February, you probably can't see it, but February 25, 2011. These have been sitting just in a paper bag on a shelf, no protection. Normally, or not normally I should say, this is the way I carry it, but I do put them in like empty peanut butter jars or something if I want a big pile of it. As soon as you open this box, you have to put it in something. Anyway, these were some cubes that I did back in 2011. The cubes are a little whiter, they're not quite as red as they used to be. But I thought today I'd try some of these and see if they work. That's a pretty nice shelf life of 2 years, almost 2 months, just by encasing them in wax. So, without any further ado here, let me move this stuff aside. Now, I like to use my blast match. But even at their youngest, these things are pretty much impossible to light with the blast match. You have to use something else to get them started. So I'll use my trusty lighter. Let's see. I guess I'll take this one. Now what I usually do is just scrape some of this wax to get down to what was used to be the white, which is not much anymore. It's kind of impregnated all the way through it. The wax, I mean. So let's see if I can light this. Wow, it still lights. Hopefully this is focusing in. Okay, we'll let that go. Now, that was with a match. If you do the same thing with another cube, kind of scrape it. You want to get some loose wax and stuff on there. And don't do this with a knife that you use for eating. Hopefully you can see that there's some, can you see that? There's loose wax on the top. Now, if I try my blast match on this, which I can use one-handed, which is the reason why I got it. Oops. See now, not too easy. As you can see, that's going good. Now the thing with this is, I put it on aluminum foil on an iron plate because the wax does melt and run away. So if you put it on wood or something, I'd put some wood underneath that to soak up the wax and help keep it going. No, just won't work. So what I'm going to do is, if you've seen my other videos, you know I like carrying cotton pads. I don't usually impregnate them with petroleum jelly or anything because I like to have these that I can use them, either use them as a fire starter or as a bandage if I needed to. I also do some of them where I cover them in wax. These are some nice little fire starters too. But what I'm going to do today is I'll put a piece of this cotton stuff, rub it up a little bit to loosen up the cotton so that it'll catch a spark easier. Just like so. Put that on, I'll put the cube on the corner. Gotta watch that flame. See how that starts that right up? Just move the, can't see if that's burning. Yep. So once the cotton's going, just move the cube over, get that lit. Okay, now the cube's gone. So if you use something like the cotton pad or some other tinder, very light tinder, that you can normally start with the blast match, you can use that on that and then use the cube to get it going. So pretty cool. This stuff's been sitting in a paper bag for over 2 years and it still works. So I'll leave some links to the other videos that I did, the one where I showed how I coat these things, and some of the earlier ones where I compare the Weber lighter cubes to the Wetfire, in case you haven't seen them. But I think this will be the last in this series. Yeah, this is neat. The wax is melting off of the cube and going to the pad and burning on the pad. Now it's getting to the lighter cube part. I don't like using these things in the Wetfire stove. It really soots up a pot really bad. I'm trying to see if I have a pot here. I never liked using these for stoves, but I like using them for fire starters. I mean, in a pinch, if you had to, you could do this, but it's gonna, see that? The stuff is really sooty. For people that like soot, that's all well and good. I like to try to keep my gear clean if I can avoid it. But anyway, this is running kind of long, so that's the lighter cubes, the Weber lighter cubes encased in wax. I used red, you could use purple, use any color you want. Again, I'll put links to videos down below. So I thank you for watching. I look forward to your input, questions, remarks, helpful suggestions. And as always, watch for my buddy Max. Bye now.